Clear. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here. It's good that you got lots of people in the audience. So I'm excited to talk Superfluid.
Man, it's great to have you, Sam. Yeah, we are. We love we love the project, and we use it regularly for One Hive associated stuff. So it's awesome to have you on with us, man. Um, how long have you been over at Superfluid for?
A little under a year now, but the protocol hasn't has we launched about a year ago in March. So I joined pretty shortly after the everything got deployed. So yeah, it's been really fast growth, both in the community and just people interested in what we do. But it's been fun so far. I've had a good time.
Awesome. Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's you think through how to best incentivize people, and I think that once you experiment with the stream, either I'm both on like sort of the administration or the recipient side, going back to like a regular salary seems barbaric. I don't know. It seems very like primitive.
Yeah. So I know you mentioned you guys are users of the protocol, which we think is amazing. How long have you guys been handling payments in streams? Have you guys been doing this for a while? Are you guys new to this? I'm very curious.
Yeah, so we actually, I don't want to speak for other swarms. You know, in one hive, the DAO has, swarms that are essentially working groups. And some, have been active longer than others. Some are dormant now that were active previously. And so I think that there may have been some that have experimented with it in the past. But right now, the TV project that, does a number of things, including this streaming content. We have a couple of core contributors that are receiving streams. And so we do, for each of them, they'll have a stream of stables, like XDAI. We run everything on Gnosis Chain, as far as like the compensation rails. So they do a stable coin and then one in Honey. And we had one of the core devs at One Hive is kind enough to help us do the super token. There's a little dev work there, and I'm not technical at all. But then we have that as well. So like each contributor has two streams simultaneously, that are sort of framed as like a monthly, quantity essentially. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. I love that. I love that. And if you guys need any help with dev work, please let me know. I'm happy to help with some of that too. But what do you think is the best way to go about our conversation today? Do you want me to like explain what Superfluid is, how it works? What do you think would be most useful to start here?
Yeah, let's start from the beginning here. Just assuming that people have never heard of it before. If you're watching us on YouTube, folks, you get a great visual compliment over there, and we'll be sharing our screen and moving around to different things. So definitely want to head over there, right? The One Hive TV channel. We'll drop another link to the YouTube. If you're with us here on the One Hive Discord, head over to Superfluid.Finance, and you can sort of follow along maybe a little bit with the conversation here. But yeah, Sam, take us sort of from the beginning here. What's the primary value proposition, or why would people use Superfluid to begin with?
Yeah, totally. So Superfluid is a protocol we like to keep it somewhat general, but we say we're a protocol for real-time transfer of value. So we let you stream money just like you can stream data over the internet, right? When you were just playing music there, you were probably streaming that music, right? Same thing, we all stream video,
Hmm.
we watch Netflix, we watch YouTube, all these things, right? And we believe that, we're in the 21st century now, we have the internet, and that money should work the same way, right? There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to receive or send money on a per second basis. So one of the ways that this manifests itself, right, is through money streams. So we let you send money, like think about a cash flow on a second by second basis between two parties, right? So let's think about this in terms of a practical example. If I am receiving a salary, right, usually that would mean that I'm getting a discrete payment every month or every 2 weeks, at a set amount over and over again, right? So at the beginning of the month, I start doing work. I'm doing work throughout the entire month. I might get paid at the end of the month, right? So all that time that's passing, I'm doing work, but I'm having to wait until the end of the month to get paid. And similarly, my employer might have to send discrete individual transactions every single month over and over again, And they have to do that work on their end. But with a Superfluid stream, you could, as an employer, once at the beginning of the year, say, okay, Sam, I want to pay you um, $50,000 a year. And what will happen is instead of that getting divided up into paychecks that you're used to, the stream just opens up right away with a single transaction, and the recipient would start receiving funds on a second by second basis. So what you're doing is you're dividing that principal amount up, right? So think like $50,000 per year, and you're sending that in little increments on a second by second basis. So it's like the $50,000 is divided up amongst a number of seconds in the year, and it's just flowing to your recipient in real time. It's really cool, right? To think about what the efficiencies are, um, both on the sending end and the receiving end, right? Like in this space, gas fees are a thing. It's not that they're a factor we have to
Yeah.
worry about, and you can imagine there's a benefit to opening up a single transaction and paying gas once, instead of paying gas 24 times or 12 times, right? To facilitate those payments. And on the
Right.
receiving end, right? What you're doing is you're providing a service, and you're having to wait to get paid for providing that service. And with streams, you don't have to wait, right? You're paid the exact amount you should be paid every single second. So it's really cool. We have people on our team that get paid in streams, and it's really exciting for them to look at their dashboard and just see like the number ticking up in real time as they work. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, that's a bit of an overview. There's obviously more detail, and we can get into how things work, but yeah, I'll stop there.
Yeah, no, I think what I'm gonna do is actually I'll put something up on screen once I make sure I have the right wallet attach a dummy wallet for the stream here to show people what the dashboard looks like. I had set it up there, but realized, sometimes you gotta really disconnect and reconnect. So we'll get that up in a second, but yeah, man, it's like I as someone who both receives and uses it, on the administration side, I guess, it just has, yeah, it has real value on both sides. The ability, so for example, folks, if you're like if you're somebody who's an operator or somebody who's trying to set up streams for like contributors at your DAO, in my experience, it simplifies the experience greatly because you have to um, you know sort of read the documentation a bit and get oriented, make sure you know all the details, and we can probably take any questions that you have today if you, drop them in the chat. But from my perspective, it's a matter of once you front load the effort to sort of set up the stream, like the wallet addresses for your team contributors that you want to stream crypto to, then it's just a matter of like basically topping up the smart contract with additional crypto on a regular basis, rather than having to send out individual payments to each of those contributors. So like there's this very specific measurable amount of time that's saved at that sort of project lead or payroll level of operations. That is really, I don't know, I love it, man. And I like receiving it too. Like if you're getting a stream, you can withdraw it anytime you like, which is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously excited about it too, right? And you can think about what happens too. This is what we like to talk about, right? We like to talk about what could happen when more and more people start to receive funds and streams, right? And you can think about this kind of like this interesting network that could emerge of these cash flows, right? So imagine that you're paying me
Mm-hmm.
in a stream, and then I'm paying for a subscription in a stream, and then the subscription provider is, redirecting a portion of the funds they're getting into an app on our ecosystem called Ricochet, right? So Ricochet lets you stream into assets, so it's like streaming investing, and then the team at the streaming investing company or protocol called Ricochet, they can take a fee and then they can redirect it into something else and pay their contributors. Like we've done visualizations, right? And I'll see if I can pull one up. We've done visualizations of what this looks like, where you have like connections between two nodes being two accounts, and then that just extrapolating out over the course of an entire network of different people that are receiving streams, sending streams, and it gets into this idea of just more automation around money and what you
Yeah.
can do with money, how we really think it should work. Like I said, in the 21st century with the internet. So this is all stuff we're really really excited about.
And this, if I'm not mistaken, I remember seeing something on Twitter, in recently with regards to sort of partnership between Superfluid and Ricochet. And Ricochet, is this like automated LP like flows, or what is? Tell me a little more about Ricochet so I can link the two projects sort of properly in my mind.
Yeah. So I'd throw out Ricochet as an example, and a lot of our team will do that as well. It's just one of the early projects in our ecosystem, right? And what you can do with Ricochet is uh, basically dollar cost average using a stream, right? So dollar cost
Sweet.
averaging, you're probably familiar with the concept, but that's how a lot of people suggest investing in assets that you have conviction in, right? And the idea is that normally in the traditional world, you just set regular intervals to buy, an asset you have conviction in. Let's say you want to accumulate a position, you might buy every Friday, right? And what you're doing there by buying consistently, you're worrying less about individual price swings, and you're taking more of a long term view. Ricochet is like the taken to the most extreme version of dollar cost averaging, right? So instead of buying every Friday or once a month, you're buying every single second, right? So you're streaming into, like, let's say I have USDC. I can stream USDC into a pool, which will give me back wrapped Bitcoin or wrapped Ether or another token that I want to dollar cost average into, and yeah, the money base essentially comes back to you in real time. So it's literally dollar cost averaging by the second. It's very cool.
Yeah, we got a question from Billy too. Do you have any idea when Ricochet might be? It's on Polygon right now. Um, when Gnosis changed, sir? I don't know.
Yeah. So Billy's actually turned into a really good Superfluid community member. So Billy actually introduced us. So
He
thank you for
did.
the question, Billy. Uh, and yeah. When Gnosis Chain, good question. I'll talk to Mike Genn, who's the founder of Ricochet, and figure that out. But I think they plan on it soon. They plan on it very soon. They're about to deploy a V2, or they might have already actually deployed a V2 actually of their contracts. And I think part of the plan there is to make it a bit more modular so that they can deploy on other chains. So hopefully soon.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean this is and I'm scrolling down their page here. So you can do it either sort of like streaming DCA into individual tokens or into these staked LP positions in Sushi. That's awesome, man. So and you guys are sort of partnered with them on both those features.
Yeah, so I guess the way that we sort of, I guess, partner with them is we just basically provide an infrastructure for them. So like we're not writing their code or anything like that, but like we've been a resource for them in terms of just like helping with go to market stuff and helping just occasionally review contracts to make sure that things look okay. And that's kind of our approach, right? So we see ourselves as just infrastructure, as an infrastructure layer. We don't really have any desire to build any like end user products, right? So we're not going to go build some other version or thing like Ricochet. We're not going to build a full stack payroll app or anything like that. People ask us questions about that too. We're just here to be the protocol for real time value transfer, like I said, streaming money. And our biggest thing, and this is part of my motivation to come in and say hi to you guys and get to know the community, and like why it's been so fun like jamming with Billy on certain things, is that we want to really support builders, right? People like Billy, and I'm sure people like other people in your community are you guys are builders. And yes, we want to see more teams like use Superfluid as a payments mechanism, and like maybe use our dashboard as a way to facilitate those payments. But our goal is to see, like, plant a bunch of seeds and hopefully 100 ricochets bloom, right? Hopefully we have
Yeah.
100, 200, 300 really, really good high quality protocols, right? So if anybody's here that is interested in working on Superfluid, I'm happy to help you get started. We've got lots of resources.
Yeah, and I mean it's one of the ways I thought we experimented a little bit, and it seems as though there could be something built out here in combination with the Gnosis auction. I don't think Paul is in the audience today, but he's very familiar with sort of logistics on that side of things, and figuring out a way to tie those two together to combine essentially, or in that case, you're auctioning tokens and Superfluid really helps as like the vesting mechanism for release of those tokens that were won at the auction over time to sort of spread out sell pressure. Um, that was very like we enjoyed doing that. I think it was successful. It's an alternative to like very specific token thaw out or like cliff for vesting. Um, Giving people access in real time is cool.
Yeah. So the vesting use case is a big one that we're pretty excited about. There's been teams that have kind of circled around this use case, like maybe building like some kind of end user product or some kind of product that a DAO could use for this out of the box. I mean, but yeah, I'd love to hear more about the details of the Gnosis auction. I mean, I know we've chatted about it a bit in Discord and DMs, but can you give me a breakdown of how you guys executed on that?
Yeah, so we sort of we knew what we wanted to do and why we wanted to combine these tools, and it was a matter of figuring out how to make it happen. And neither Paul nor I are technical, and Billy has helped out in a number of ways to sort of help make certain things possible. In this case, it was that the tokens that people were bidding on in the Gnosis auction were essentially dummy tokens that represented, a whole honey. You had to buy at least one honey, but then so the results of that auction were then turned around within the safe to use the honey super token to send streams to the winning wallet addresses in the quantity that they had won over 6 months, this was all sort of packaged and presented as the opportunity from the beginning, right? But we did use essentially dummy tokens in the auction that then were turned into the super tokens when we got the streams running from the safe.
I see. I see. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think use cases like that are going to be important, right? It's really nice to be able to handle vesting with a stream. I mean, there are some other players out there that have built streaming applications that are kind of for vesting, right? But you are required
Right.
in those cases to lock up funds, right, in those contracts to do that. So, yeah, I think vesting is a good use case.
Yeah, having some final sense of like, the finality of the auction combined with the vesting is cool. I mean, the sort of big picture here is we talked a lot with Billy about these types of things in terms of the liquidity and sell pressure and how you can use something like Superfluid as a way to manage that is really awesome and just useful for like treasury management and sort of budgetary projection for projects or swarms or any of those types of things, for sure.
Yeah, totally, totally. So there are quite a few other interesting potential use cases that we're seeing here. One of them is we actually built it. We built examples around these two examples that I'll share with you. One of them is this idea of using NFTs and streams in unison to manage cash flow within an organization. So we have an example project, right, that we've just deployed. We have the code out there on our GitHub. Anybody can take this and make it better and fork it and make it production ready. But the idea is that you know, we want to help DAOs automate the flow of funds within their organization as well, right? This whole like grants process tends to be a
Right.
bit inefficient, right? It's not really how like in a standard like company or other environment where you're like there are budgets and things. You usually don't have to like make a proposal and then have the money distributed from like the largest pot of funds that exists to people
Right.
individually, right? That's typically not how things go, right? So there's this example that I'm referring to. It lets you as the DAO mint NFTs to subgroups or even individual contributors, right? You can mint an NFT which represents, all right, this is this person's budget or this person's even salary. And what you do when you mint this NFT is you also open a stream to the owner of that NFT, right? And then
Got it.
if the owner of the NFT wants to transfer it, the flow will also transfer to somebody else. The owner of the sub NFT can split their stream out into multiple subgroups. So you can imagine like maybe you have different swarms, right? And I don't understand how your DAO is structured exactly, but imagine if you have one particular swarm or team or subgroup that is working on, you mentioned you're on the TV side, right? So on the TV side, maybe they're getting a certain amount. You can then split your NFT into sub NFTs, so each individual contributor gets a certain amount as well, right? And you have
Very
control
cool.
over what's happening with those streams. Yeah, yeah. So there are
Yep.
things
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
that I think we're really excited about. Go ahead.
As I say, actually, it reminded me there was I don't know if you know Sem or I think Gabby was working on it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So the osmotic funding project that you
yeah.
guys worked on is related there, I guess, or could be related to those sorts of intersecting spots. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It is a similar concept actually. Yeah, Sam is great actually. He's built a couple of really interesting superfluid projects, and their osmotic funding project won a prize from us a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ETH
he's done a
Online,
good
right?
job.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah, ETH
interesting because
Online.
the idea of using the conviction voting mechanism to sort of intersect with at least the sort of funding mechanism that you're describing, right, as a way for the community to control or like direct the flow of streaming funds across different NFTs, I guess, hypothetically. Um, yeah, there's so many different
Yep,
possibilities. You
absolutely.
just got to sort of bound the the objective, I guess, and figure out. It's cool though. Like, yeah, very creative opportunities.
Yeah, another one I'll give you, and then I can actually, if you guys want, I can give some like requests for projects. It's kind of like the request for startups. So we have certain things we'd like to see, but
Yeah.
I'll give you one more before we touch on that. There's this, and I know Billy knows this one because this is like this has been like the thread of our Discord conversations for the past month. It's this idea of a tradable cash flow, right? So there's another primitive example that we built that's in our examples repository in GitHub that it's basically an NFT contract that can receive funds and send those funds that it receives to the owner of the NFT. So you can imagine like a situation in which you have a cash flow, right? A predicted like you know you're gonna have this cash flow for a while. Maybe it's your salary, maybe it's a subscription, right? And in the cases of the subscriptions, there's actually a good real world example, and this company called Diagonal is going to launch very soon. Where what they do with subscriptions is that for each individual subscriber, what happens is they will mint an NFT, which the subscriber will essentially actually send their flow of funds into the NFT itself, and then the company, right, is the owner of that NFT, right? So what's happening is the NFT is just kind of like this pass through mechanism for the cash flow, but because it's an NFT, it's tradable, right? So if I'm a company and I have a one of these tradable cash flows that's receiving, I don't know, $100 per month, what I could do is effectively turn that into kind of like a financial instrument. So instead of just having to say, all right, well, I have to wait, each month to receive the $100 per month, you could go sell that on the market, right? And say, like, you could show that, all right, this NFT is receiving $100 per month. That's about $1,200 per year. Maybe I could sell it on the market for $1,100, right? And someone would see that as an interesting investment, right? So those kinds of solutions exist in the non Web3 world, but we're excited to bring them into the Web3 environment, right? So that's another one, right? And there's all kinds of things that can be done with that. But yeah, I did just want to share that one briefly.
Very cool. Yeah, I got it up on screen here. Diagonal Finance, right?
Yeah. So Diagonal is going to be a really interesting company. I think they just raised a $2.5 million seed round or pre-seed round, actually, rather. So yeah, we're pretty bullish on them and that concept, but there's lots of room for different projects and protocols to be built on top of Superfluid.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of I like to nerd out on these different tools. You know, I sort of we have active conversations even on the TV team. I know a lot of DAOs do just about how to combine the right incentives, and so finding these different ways. I know the subscription is a little bit different, but we're about providing content here, and so seeing some of these crossovers from Web 2 is definitely exciting.
Definitely, definitely. And in terms of the kinds of opportunities that I think really exist to build on Superfluid, one area that I'll point maybe some listeners at is the overlap between Superfluid and DeFi. Um, so with a stream, you can do a lot of really interesting things with recurring payments, obviously, right? Subscriptions, payroll, this kind of stuff we've been talking about. But capital efficiency is really, really important in finance, right? Like if you can avoid holding onto cash
Right.
for a little bit, if you can hold on to cash for a little bit longer, right? You can do things with that, right? You can earn yield, you can turn that into some kind of revenue stream or income stream, right? And if there's one place that I think might be underdeveloped so far, it's probably DeFi and Superfluid with that overlap, and there's quite a bit in the pipeline, we think, but this market is still wide open. And
Right.
things like, can I borrow a stream, right? Can I put up as a DAO? Can I take some of my governance token, use it as collateral, and borrow a stream? So I don't have to necessarily just sell a bunch of governance tokens, exchange those for stables, and then stream them to my contributors, right? It'd be awesome if I could just borrow that directly.
Sure.
Same thing with just different streaming exchanges, right? It'd be nice if there were more applications where I could stream into LP pools, right, and receive some kind of yield back, right? These are the kinds of things that we're all pretty bullish on. And if you're a DeFi builder, or even if you're from the traditional financial world, we'd love for you to come explore Superfluid and try to build something cool.
You have anything cooking in that DeFi space in particular? I mean, we looked at Ricochet. Anything else that is similar, or sort of adjacent to what they're working on as far as DeFi
Yeah, so
and
there's some stuff. They're kind of in stealth, so I don't really want to.
I hear you,
I
man.
don't really
I
want
get you.
to talk specifically, but I will say that use case I just mentioned on borrowing against like a treasury or like a collateralized lending using streams. That's one that I think is going to be pretty interesting. There are quite a few people that are even like investors in Superfluid that have shown interest in that kind of thing, and I'm pretty bullish on that. I'm also bullish on streaming and liquidity provision. I think there are some pretty interesting efficiencies that can happen if you use streams to provide liquidity. Obviously there are a lot of interoperability things to consider, right? With working with something like Uniswap or SushiSwap, because you have to basically deal with this thing in Superfluid where you're wrapping tokens, and there are some considerations there, but there are a handful of projects that I've seen that I've been talking to lately that are finding pretty novel solutions there, and I'm excited for them to launch at some point this year.
that's cool, man. Yeah, this is one of those things where I was talking to, I think it was Dosh earlier. If there are people in the audience or people that we are sort of chatting with about Superfluid, whether DAO builders or they're DAO operators, if there's somebody who wants to use it and doesn't have really any dev experience or knowledge when it comes to the super token, like what would you be your best what would your advice to those? Is there some resources that Superfluid provides to help like non-technical people get set up if they have a token that they'd like to wrap?
Yeah, yeah. So I would say to go to our dashboard, just app.superfluid.finance. We'd like to think that it's fairly intuitive once you're there. There's like basically three buttons at the top of the screen, right? One, you can uh, uh, send a stream. Two, you can receive a stream. And I believe now, let me double check this so I can verify. There's a button now called wrap, where if you click that, you'll be able to just wrap whatever tokens you have as super tokens. And for context there,
Cool.
the reason why you need a super token is that, to make some of the streaming functionality happen, we had to build an extension onto the ERC20 and ERC777 standard that has this ability to allow funds to flow in real time, right? So,
Got it.
interoperability is important. So we've allowed people to just wrap any ERC20 token that they want. And once you deploy that wrapper contract, all you have to do is call one function on it. And what happens when you wrap is your ERC20 asset is sent into that wrapper contract, and you're just minted an equivalent amount of super tokens. You can do whatever you want with the super tokens, stream them, you can transfer them as normal. It has all the other ERC20 functions on them. But like as soon as you're done, right? As soon as you're done using the super tokens, you can unwrap them and you'll get an equivalent amount back of the underlying ERC20. So that might have been a bit technical of an explanation there, but the idea is like there's one thing you're doing under the hood. You're calling a function to mint, and you can always downgrade and unwrap at any time.
Awesome. Yeah, and this is people should know obviously if you're going to create a stream, you do have to conclude it before it concludes, right? There is sort of a mechanism to keep people honest there when you create a stream intended for somebody else.
Yeah. So that's important to keep in mind. Our dashboard is pretty good about protecting you there, right? There's
Yeah.
warnings and things, but the idea behind that is like, okay, let's back up a second and explain why we even need something like this in the first place. With Superfluid, you can create a stream and you don't have to lock up all the tokens for that stream in a separate contract, right? I can agree to send you $100 per month, even if right now today I only have $10 in my wallet. And I'm able to do that because we have effectively a network of liquidators who will close out streams if your balance hits zero. And the reason why they're incentivized to do that is, once you create a stream, you have to put up a 4-hour deposit. So whatever the flow rate is, you're going to just put up 4 hours worth of that. Again, if you're sending $100 per month, 4 hours out of the entirety of the month is usually a very small amount, but that's put up as a kind of escrow payment. And if your balance hits zero before you close it, those liquidators will be rewarded with that deposit amount to close your stream out, right? That's how we keep the network solvent and prevent you from having to actually lock up a bunch of tokens.
Yeah, folks, so just keep that in mind if you're going to experiment with this, particularly if you're using it with contributors, or if you're trying to figure out how it all works there. App.superfluid.finance, and it really is a simple. When I was working this with a couple of folks to begin with, it was a little bit confusing because it is somewhat different, than anything you've seen before, as far as compensation, for example. And of course, the beautiful thing is you just connect your wallet to the app, and you can claim the funds whenever you'd like. So I do have only a portion of it showing on the share screen right now if you're watching on YouTube, but you can simply go over to your currencies and then select the one that you'd like to withdraw and do so.
Yep, absolutely. And what will happen is the first time you connect to the dashboard, we'll send you some test tokens. So we'll send you some fake DAI, some fake USDC, and even some testnet Ether. So you can just get started right there. But if you have any questions, our Discord is usually very responsive. And we also have like a little intercom button in the bottom right-hand corner. And our product team is very responsive on that too. So if you run into anything strange, if anything's confusing at all, please reach out. We want to make sure that things are clear and user-friendly.
Absolutely, man. It's been very smooth, sailing for me. I haven't even needed to sort of wade in or seek help, really. I think if people are patient to learn and the documentation is clear, it's a pretty straightforward tool, and it's just really exciting to see such a useful thing, getting built upon. And we were able to check, connect with a couple of folks from Superfluid when we were in Denver there. I don't know, were you in Denver, Sam? I didn't get to see you there, but
I was.
right
I
on,
was.
man.
I don't know if we connected, but I did talk with Billy for a while, so that was good.
How was your experience there in Denver?
It was intense. It was intense. It was really cool. It was the first event I've been to in such a long time.
Yeah,
So yeah, it was fun. How about you? Did you enjoy it?
I did, man. It was great to see, people in real life there, and of course it is exhausting, and I have trouble like getting proper rest at altitude. So I was like a little run ragged by the end there, but it was a good time, man. It was a good experience, and the castle was definitely an experience unto itself. Yeah.
Yeah. Experience is the right word. Yeah, I think we exceeded whatever the building capacity was. Yeah.
People wrapped around the corner, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No bathrooms. Yeah. Good luck if you have to pee. You're holding it, man.
Oh God.
You're
Yeah.
done.
Maybe win bigger venue, sir. Maybe next year. I'll have to see.
Yes. Yeah. One bigger venue. That's a very good point.
We got Billy up here now, man. He had some free time this morning to join
What
us. The man himself. How you doing, man?
What's up, Billy?
Not much. I'm multitasking here. I just demoed another hackathon right now. I'm done with hackathons for at least a week.
Man, you say that every time. I'm done.
I know. They pulled me back in. But yeah, man, this is so cool getting you guys together. Super fluid. Like I've been spreading the word. Just the alpha is that Bright ID project that's soulbound. We are actually going to be giving away a couple streaming NFT that's going to stream Bright. So it'll be like a test in production to see how well this thing works, and hopefully I don't get hacked. And it'll be cool, man. Like it's going to be the first time like people will start seeing like flow NFTs on Gnosis chain at least.
Yeah, Billy, that's really cool, man. Are you all good with some of the back end stuff with Superfluid, or should we chat after this? Like in terms of
yeah, I'm gonna shoot it your way just to see if there's any like major flaws on the contract. But like we got it uploaded and got the super token going in there. I've tested the contract, pulling it in and out and all that. So like if you've been Bright ID verified and you signed up for that free NFT drop that's soulbound, you're in the chance for the winnings.
Let's go. I love it. Yeah, bringing the streaming NFTs to Gnosis. That's we need to do that.
I just think it's like so cool, like the whole concept of it, like just the technology besides everything, and like whatever, just like this token, like you hold this NFT and like it streams something to you is just cool, an option, and just in general, like you talk about that and people are like, oh, that's cool.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we think so too, and it's always fun to have builders like yourselves just get into it, and you're pretty prolific these days with all your hackathons, and I'm glad. I'm glad you're taking it beyond the hackathon. And yeah, Billy, you are prolific, man. I'm glad you're taking it beyond the hackathons and building other independent projects too. It's honestly amazing to see.
Yeah, it's really actually I discovered you guys on that ETH Global hackathon, like, and then the libraries. I'm like, that sounds cool, because I'm like, there's again like so many things that are like, there's too much noise in the space, where it's like there's so many cool things happening at the same time. But like the whole streaming thing, and like I started getting deeper and deeper into like the token standards and streaming. I was like, oh man, this is really cool. I like it. This like I think I found my vibe.
Yes. Yeah, we think that we're a protocol that is pretty focused on substance, right? We're building a primitive that we think is going to be really important for a while, right? Not just an ohm fork or something like that that might be cool for the next 6 months, right? We want to be around for a long time. So yeah, that's why we're so focused on builders. And that's why we go to hackathons. Billy, you found us at the ETH Global Hackathon. That's why we do them, right? So if you want to get started, if you want to be like Billy and make your own projects and get support from the Superfluid dev team and everything, go build on Superfluid at a hackathon. That's probably the best way to get in touch with us and get on our radar.
You guys have
one thing I do have to say.
I was gonna say, for people, is there another hackathon in the near future that people might be able to mark on their calendar?
We are likely going to do ETH Amsterdam, which I believe will be an in-person one. So it's a bit restrictive if you can't make it out to Amsterdam. But we will also do Hack Money, which I believe is either going to be in the end of April or early May. That'll be another big one that we do. That's an ETH Global event, right? I'm a big shill for ETH Global because I think they do a really good job. So anything ETH Global. I think the ETH Amsterdam one is ETH Global too. Anything ETH Global, even if you don't build on Superfluid, I recommend doing those events because they're well run, they're organized, they help you find teams, all that stuff.
One thing I do want to chime in for everybody that is thinking about it is like Superfluid and Sam have been really cool. Like when I first started and like had no idea how to even get started, Sam was pretty available to like just answer questions. Like I felt bad bothering him. I'm like, man, I don't have another question, but Sam was really cool about it. That's why I was like super cool to meet him in person because really cool guy. So yeah, definitely do it.
Thanks, Billy. So yeah, I mean, we think about the time that we invest with you guys, like it's like an investment, right? And plus, I personally like getting in the weeds on some of this stuff, right? Especially if you're interested in like, if you're intellectually interested in the stuff that I'm intellectually interested in, we're gonna vibe, right? So if you come to a hackathon and you want to build something cool, you can hit me up all the time, and I'll be responsive to you.
Right on. Well, everybody make sure you follow up on Twitter too if you haven't done so already. Superfluid_HQ. Yeah, are you going sort of making the rounds to like DevDAO and other places where I know they're sort of developers tend to congregate, Sam?
Yeah. So Developer DAO, I think I might get a bit more active there. I might buy one of the NFTs actually and get in the game
Right on.
more officially, but we'll see. And then other places we tend to be involved. Like we started to do some partnerships and things, right? There's a couple of Web3 infrastructure providers and things that we might do some small partnerships with, and just try to get in front of more people, right? Again, we're
Yep.
we're a piece of infrastructure, and yeah, you can use us through the dashboard and build your own streams. But like I said at the beginning of the call, our real value I think is going to be in the value that other protocols and entrepreneurs create when they build on top of us. So the more places that I can be, that we can be, where builders and entrepreneurs are, the better. So if that feels like it's you in the community here today, shoot me a message and we can talk.
I know, folks. You got it. Hit Sam up here on Discord. Is there any other place that they might be able to connect with you? Are you mostly on Discord, Sam, or is there a Telegram handle they should also hit you up at?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter too.
Right
I
on.
mean, I am on Telegram. Telegram tends to be like second on the priority list just because I get more messages here in Discord and on Twitter. But if you follow me on Twitter at sflamini5, S and then Flamini, my last name Flamini 5. I usually am pretty responsive there, and if you build something, I'll retweet you and show you some love.
Right on, man. Well, it's been great having you today. Thanks for stopping by. I mean, if there's any other things you want to share with folks, links or otherwise, feel free to drop them in the chat there, and we can share them out there. And Billy, is there anything else you want to chat up, my man? What are you thinking?
Man, my only request for Gnosis Chain is have a super token interface, please.
Super token. What do you mean, super token interface?
Like right now, I
Contract
have to do it through the chain, and then like in order to do it, I had to do it like through this truple interface. So like creating a super token like for my own custom ERC was nightmarish in a sense.
Yeah, well, we actually have something coming out for you this week. Hopefully, end of the week this week. This should be helpful. We're gonna build a. We're actually gonna release. We pretty much have it already built. An entire repo dedicated to super token deployments, where you can just fork it, grab whatever contract you need, and then run a script to deploy it. And hopefully, we'll also have an interface for it too. So if you're non-technical, you should just be able to use the interface to mint whatever token you want, and even set some interesting custom parameters too. So be on the lookout. It's coming soon.
My manifesting work, guys. You see that, guys?
Hell yeah.
I love it. Well, hey, thank you guys so much for having me today. It's been fun to connect with you. It seems like you guys have a good community here, and I would love to stay in touch and figure out how I can help you guys. So thanks again.
Absolutely, Sam. It's great to have you, man, and have a good rest of the week. And we'll definitely connect again soon.
Sounds great. Thank you all.
See you guys. Have a good one.
Cheers, man. Everybody have a great week. GM to everybody for joining us here. And we will talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody.